Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 21st, 2025 work session of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Monikia, Councilmember Meyer,
Present.
Councilmember Fields Tooel,
Here.
Councilmember Weiss,
Present.
Supervisor Feldman.
Present.
Sure. Are we gonna go to the supervisor's announcements?
Sure. Okay. Excuse me. Early voting in Ossining will begin Saturday, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center. Visit our website or Facebook page for a full list of dates and times for the early voting. And regular voting will happen on Election Day at your regular polling place. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd at 7 p.m., the Ossining Public Library will be hosting the Italian Americans in Music lecture with Vanessa Racy in celebration of Italian Heritage Month. This lecture will look to celebrate musicians from Enrico Caruso to Lady Gaga and more. The Erie Canal boat, the Seneca Chief, will be visiting Ossining on Friday, October 24th, as part of its bicentennial voyage. You can visit it at Chattahoochee Yacht Club starting at 4 p.m. You could take a tour of the boat and hear more about the heritage and the history of the Erie Canal. Mike Risco Music will be running a free one-time vocal workshop on Saturday, October 25th. Learn to sing the national anthem with power, control, and pride. For more information or to RSVP, please visit MikeRiscoMusicSchool.com. On Saturday, October 25th, the Sing Sing Kill Brewery will be hosting a costume karaoke event where participants can win prizes. The event will start at 8 p.m. The Westchester Collaborative Theater is presenting their new show, Terror Tales. This collection of chilling short stories will be performed this weekend and next weekend at various times. Please check the Westchester WCTtheater.org for more information. Healthcare Forum and Resource Fair is scheduled for Monday, October 27th at 6 p.m. in the Ossining Public Library. Speakers include Assemblymember Dana Levenberg and Senator Pete Harckham. Stay ahead of the upcoming changes to Medicaid, the Essential Plan, and more. The Women's Small Business Networking Breakfast will take place on Wednesday, October 29th at 8:30 a.m., hosted by the Ossining Chamber of Commerce, featuring our Assemblywoman Dana Levenberg. Please go to greaterossiningchamber.org for more information and to RSVP. All right. The Trunk or Treat event returns this year, thanks to the Ossining Parks and Recreation Department and all of the other partners that are joining. This event will be on October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center lower parking lot, new place. Enjoy games, candy, and the live DJ. Remember, this event is geared toward younger kids in the community, so everything will be family friendly. Bethany Arts Community Little Explorer Studio will be returning on November 1st. Children can enjoy hands-on crafts, performing arts, and collaborative play. For more information, please visit www.bethanyarts.org. And remember that Neighbors Link is a great source of information and community resources for our immigrant population. Please visit their website, www.neighborslink.org. Click resources to register to attend informational webinars about knowing your rights in both English and Spanish, and to find contact information for trusted professionals. As always, our Ossining Public Library will be hosting many events, including movies, crafts, meditation, tutoring, yoga, book clubs, and much more. Please see their website, OssiningLibrary.org, for more information. And the Loft LGBTQ+ Community Center has everything from events and programs to resources and presentations, all dedicated to providing support to the LGBTQ+ community. And there are many virtual and in-person support groups for a multitude of different topics. Check out their website at loftgaycenter.org for more information. And for more fun and interesting events and programs being held locally, you can see the supervisor's update on the supervisor's webpage to see them. Do any of my colleagues have anything else? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have our town planner Valerie Manastra to give a presentation on town code updates.
Welcome, Valerie. Thank you for having me this evening. So I wanted to I have a little, I guess, Martha sharing the screen. I put together a quick presentation, just kind of giving this board an update as to where things are in terms of updates to the town code. A number of you probably recall, I've been before this board a few times after the comprehensive plan. We talked about doing updates to the overall zoning, and we did undertake drafts of that over the course of the year with a little bit of a zoning subcommittee. And then also, in addition to that, during that period of time, we also worked on the open space plan. So now that the basically the drafts, and then you also had the updates to the BE district, which was also taking place during that same time, as well as the regional development, the rezoning of that. So now that all of those different components have been more or less completed, we're ready to start moving forward with the actual looking at adopting some of the town code updates that have not yet been addressed, and then also implementing some of the open space recommendations. So I just kind of wanted to give the town board a little bit of an update. So if you can go to the next slide. So I was before this board in about a month or so ago, presenting a draft open space plan. We went back to we heard from the EAC, they provided us comments. We worked their comments into the open space plan. And so we have a final open space plan at this point in time that we're open. I mean, if the town board would like to consider adopting that plan, I can work with Christy to get that before this board. I believe Martha took a look at the scope of work in the Greenway grant, and it does require an adoption of the plan to completely close out the grant itself. So this is something that, is very commonplace in terms of open space plans, and it just means that this would be something that, when you're looking to do any sort of development, this would be another document for which the different land use boards and the town board can review and look to in terms of moving forward. The other thing that the open space plan allows for, and if you can go to the next slide, we specifically, Martha, if you can go to that, thank you. We specifically looked at updating and identifying strategic parcels, specifically ones that dealt with water quality, recreation and connectivity, core forests, forest habitat, and wetlands and water courses. So these are all key important parcels, and some of the recommendations within the open space plan, which directly relate to zoning, focus on creating either looking at the cluster development regulations, and potentially amending some of those and having those focus on really incentivizing cluster development in the remaining of some of those strategic parcels. Also expanding the applicability of cluster development on other parcels besides specifically focused on the strategic parcels, and also establishing higher standards for subdivision and site plan within the Indian Brook Croton Gorge watershed overlay protection district, which the town also adopted. And so looking at that again and seeing if there's ways to tighten things a little bit more now that we know where some of the strategic parcels are located, and then also consider a conservation overlay district for some of the identified parcels. So this, in conjunction with the work we've already done, can kind of go hand in hand. And this is something that we'd like to bring back to the town board in terms of recommendations, incorporate those into the zoning and subdivision regulations as well. Next slide. What we have done is we looked at the zoning chapter, tree protection, freshwater, wetlands, water bodies and water courses, subdivision of land, and the Indian Brook Croton Gorge watershed overlay protection district. So these are like the five
chapters within the town code that are probably going to be looked at for updates. We already have drafts related to the zoning and probably will have a few more drafts. Tree protection, the EAC is now reviewing at this point in time. They have some recommendations based upon recommendations from your tree arborist. And then, so I'm working with them directly to kind of get that finalized so I can bring that to the town board. The freshwater wetlands, water bodies and water courses, we already have a little bit of a draft. This would be to update for the new DEC regulations that came into effect within the last year. The subdivision of land would be really focused on looking at for the cluster developments, but I think also just taking a look at that chapter to see if anything needs to be modified. And also the Indian Brook Croton Gorge watershed overlay, this would really be specifically dealing with that open space plan. So to focus on the updates really will focus on implementing comprehensive plan recommendations, amending to the new CEC wetlands, as I said, incorporating town arbors and EAC tree recommendations, implementing the open space plan recommendations, and then also simplifying zoning text and updating it to current standards. And this also includes amendments to the definitions, use tables, landscaping, lighting, signs, special permit requirements, and parking. So, in order to undertake this work, this is where we really want to talk to the town board on how you want to handle this, because there's a lot of,
Yeah.
there's a lot of documents to run through. We can start doing it like, piecemeal, over a number of different town board meetings. We can also, I can work with the town supervisor directly to make sure they don't, inhibit any of the other work sessions that you have. We can also schedule special meetings if we want to do that. That's also a possibility. We could also have like a subcommittee of the town board to kind of review things and then bring it back to the full board. So I'm really open and flexible to whatever the town board feels that is going to be most expedient and efficient for your review.
I'd like to hear from the board. So how would you like to approach this? Piece by piece, get some information, digest it, talk about it and vote on it, or
Yeah, I mean,
have a subcommittee?
is zoning and the subdivision of most the same topics almost? Like, I would have typed 2 things at a time. Is that a lot?
We'll see you in 2029.
All right.
No, my only comment on the subcommittee concept is that the supervisor and Councilman Meyer were on the
Right.
the
Yeah.
subcommittee that precipitated these changes
Drafts,
being
yeah.
made. So I feel like that may be somewhat redundant. That's
agree.
my comment.
You have your own microphone. You don't read your own microphone?
No.
Okay.
Valerie, my question to you is, because I'm trying to make sense of thinking about how we want to go about it. Can you give us, thinking of all we need to work on, like approximately how many hours? Because then we can figure out how to break it down.
Yeah.
But I have no clue.
Right, so
What-
I think the best way that I can answer that is following up with another question. I know my kids always hated when their teachers came up with another question when they had a question, but in all reality, so if you are if I send you documents and you're able to, you have the time to review the documents ahead of the town board meetings, then that would, then we can get through a number of elements or a number of the sections within, each work session. If, I know you all, everybody has daytime jobs and personal life, so if you're not going to be, or if you wouldn't be able to necessarily do that and want to have that kind of discussion and review here, then I would say that's going to take a number of.
Yeah, if you
board
want to have an informative discussion so everybody understands all the terminology and everything all at once, or maybe we can at least start with the open space plan and slowly work from there. I know I'm going to want at least one session on the dark skies and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're always kind of trying to find things to cover
Oh, well, yeah,
the work session. So here we are.
yeah, we got plenty of stuff.
So, if this is gonna fill up our calendar for the next month or two,
Year.
year.
No. Only if we follow Angela's
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, if
Mhm.
this is an 8-hour task, you know what I mean? Then we break it down as such. If it's a 50-hour task, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to get it.
Some has to do with how detailed, I mean, not that the town board wouldn't review everything, but I've worked in, working with town boards previously, you know, some people want to go through each and every line, right? And they specifically want to, you know, look at everything, and then that takes some time, and maybe we only get through a few sections, you know, and that becomes multiple work sessions. What we could do
I
is.
don't think that's a tenor of this group.
Right, right. So I think it sounds like people seem to be comfortable with if we gave a couple sections a few weeks ahead of time and said, this is coming up at the next town board meeting. And then you come prepared with any questions you have, happy to go through any, you know, discussions, summaries, whatever, and then we can see how quickly we move. And if that's the case, you know, I had, you know, a couple, it sounded like the supervisor noted that the next 3 might be a little bit light because you're going to be focused on budgets and other, you know, as opposed to bringing new
Right,
items
so-
to the board. So maybe we can see how far we get in the next 3 months. And then after that, if we need to take a break and then pick it back up in the spring, we can do that as well.
Sounds good. And of course, any board member can call you and ask for a definite
Yeah.
understanding of a definition or a recommendation. What do you think? You have thoughts?
My suggestion would be to circulate everything to the town board. I think to Valerie's point and what Jen was talking about is that it really depends upon, because not everything's changing, right? There's just red line in what's already there, right? That's what we're going to be presenting to the town board. So it's not everything. It's not a complete overhaul. So it's really just a matter of discussion among the board as you go through those items. So I don't see the harm in circulating everything to you now. And then, you know, like Valerie was saying,
Discussing
maybe
it.
break it up in sections so that for each of these 3 meetings, everyone can have sufficient time. We're going to be coming up on the holidays, to be prepared to discuss those sections. And then I would think, having reviewed it already myself and provided my own comments, I would think by January 20th, we would be in a position to potentially call for a public hearing.
Okay. I like your confidence in us.
There.
And that would be including the open space plan at the same time.
Yeah, I think we could do adoption of that at the same time, right?
I don't think the open space plan that doesn't require a local law.
No.
So it just needs a resolution. So perhaps we start with that at the first one. And then maybe, you know, dabble into the zone text amendments at the first one. Again, acknowledging that you're still going to be going through the budget process, although I think it'll probably be pretty much wrapped up by that point, right? Yeah. So
Please, God.
so yeah, we can try to coordinate that. But because the open space plan doesn't require a local law, it might be easier to just get that off get that resolved or by resolution, and then move forward with the zone text amendments that are going to require a local law.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'd probably like to wrap up that grant while there's still funding
Right.
in the state.
So, so then I'm gonna suggest that maybe on November 18th, I'll send out the open space plan. We'll do one more review of it, you know, if there's any minor tweaks or whatever, we can always do that before it becomes the version that's gonna get adopted. And then I will also kind of walk you through the couple different, maybe town code update decisions you can make based upon the implementation of the open space plan. because I do need to make those if we're going to move forward with some of those recommendations, right? So those have not been yet
Incorporated.
incorporated into the zoning and changes. And then the other thing is the tree law. I just followed up with Mitzi today just to see where they were and if they had any other comments, because that is one of those other chapters that I still need to finish doing edits to, but they can easily be done within this time frame.
And I want to look at the financial impacts to the town of the new codes for the tree.
Oh, for the tree.
Yeah, for the tree one. Can you just conservation overlay, what does that look like?
Right, so I mean, this is where there's a couple different options for the open space plan, and we can talk a little bit more about it that next month, but the overlay would be something where you would identify specific properties as needing to automatically either like have certain design standards, so certain amount of the property needs to be open space or automatically has to require clustering as opposed to traditional subdivision if they were to be redeveloped or developed. And so we can talk about which one of those some of those properties might rise to the,
Okay,
know,
so for
so-
example, what the part touching our reservoir would be one of those.
right, well, so that's where, you know, and again, we can talk a little bit more, but some of those around the reservoir, we might want to just increase like additional buffers or look at like strengthening the Indian Brook Croton Gorge watershed overlay district, because you already have certain protections within that area, where there's other properties outside of that overlay, that Indian Brook Croton Gorge conservation, I mean, the overlay district, where you might want to consider doing another conservation overlay. So we can talk about what those would be and which properties.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Matt? Sounds like a plan?
Yes.
Okay,
Great, yeah. Good plan.
okay,
All right.
yes,
Excellent.
okay. We have a plan.
All right.
Didn't take long. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate, I know you've been working on this for many months. Kind of taking our comprehensive plan. And Chrissy, thank you for reviewing it also. The comprehensive plan was a lot of work and a lot of input from a lot of community members. And trying to gel that down into, into what zoning looks like will be fun. And thank you for doing the heavy lift, and I look forward to getting it all incorporated into our code. All right.
We are also gonna have to do secra on this, but because it's coming out of the comprehensive plan, I think we can rely upon a lot of what we already did previously.
Okay,
Right, and we aren't proposing any major density changes, which tends to trigger like something like a generic environmental impact statement. This is really just working on regulations and specifically environmental protection. So it's not necessarily changing wholesale uses or densities within the
Okay.
town.
Oh, and one other thing is that, generally when the town board is considering zone text amendments, they'll send it to the planning board.
Mhm.
So, perhaps maybe when we get into December, we can talk about what the timing you would like to consider for sending it to the planning board for their review.
sounds good. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for our work session. And we will see you on October 28th at the courthouse for a legislative session. And we're going to adjourn to executive session for advice of counsel, personnel. And I think that's it.
Pending litigation.
Pending litigation.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.